Hello, David Wasserman.
Hello.
Very happy to have you today. The Art Dealer Diaries. You're the reason I want to do this show.
Right on.
It really is because, so the whole premise of this Art Dealer Diaries is it's people that come through my life and affect me in some way or just enhance it. And for sure you did. I mean, we met probably 2 months ago for the first time, which is kind of amazing. I didn't know you before then because you've been in as a picker, right, for 40 years?
35 anyway.
35 years, which means you've had some killer stuff go through your hands over time.
Oh, yes.
And when you came into my gallery and we were talking and, it was flowing, and I actually ended up buying a very cool thing from you in tell me about that. It was a 1937.
Sky Chief travel trailer mascot.
Yeah. And those are rare, right?
Oh, yes. Um, I've never seen the complete trailer.
Yeah.
I've never seen the complete trailer. I've had maybe four of these in my time, and the first one I got it from a guy who told me that's what he took it off of when he took it to the dump.
To the dump.
Yeah.
I paid more than dump prices for that one.
Yeah.
In fact, if for those of you who are watching on video, you can actually see it behind me because that's where it's going to reside. I really like it. I think it's really cool. So when you find something how do you find something like that? Where did that one come up in your life? Do you remember?
A lot of it's just from those Keebler elves. You know those guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we find some stuff.
Yeah.
Just looking and talking, and I've realized recently on a trip I was on with my wife that I'm like, hey, check that out. Did you see this? Did you see that? And she's like, what? And it's like I've always had people tell me, oh, you got a good eye.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes, an eye. Like I see stuff that some people don't even notice, even though to me it's like right there, obvious as can be.
That's the key, really, don't you think?
That's it. And then when people see me with a load of stuff at a show or in my truck or something, it's like, wow, it's all cool, like, and that's all I'm looking to find. I don't want to haul around a bunch of junk. I like buying cool stuff that just to be able to experience it for a while.
Yeah, and do you like it with for me, history often is really interesting too.
Yes, but I'm not a collector really. I'm a gatherer.
Yeah.
I don't need to have every one of the whole series. That
right.
There's some stuff I've had for a long time, but as a picker, like I'll sell anything.
Yeah, I love that. And, God bless you.
Funds in the search.
Well, I found in my own world that if I buy something really great or have something really great that I know I can't keep, because I am still a collector, and I just kind of try to absorb it for whatever period of time that might be, because I know it's probably the last time I see it. But I want to get whatever energy it has and whatever history, and it's kind of mine for a moment, and that seems to work. Do you feel that same kind of vibe when you have something that's cool, that's really got you go, oh my God?
There's a few things I've had for a long time, and I had this one thing I bought 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and it's a slave collar, and like it's very fine made with like 3 half clamshell shapes.
Wow.
With shot in there, and it's very fine. And at the end of it, it's like 2 rat tails go together, but before the rat tail is a place where it's all twisted like this. Like they put it around somebody's neck, and it was like too big. They had to take it off, tighten it up, shrink it. And it's like, I bought it at a show years ago, and I've never offered it for sale. I show it to people that come to my house, hand it to them, and it's like, check this out. And a clue I give you what it is when I tell you what it is, it will chill you.
Yeah, that is.
You hold this thing in your hand that was put around somebody's neck, and like a man did that to another man. Or this could have been to a houseworker, like a small woman or something, where she didn't have some silly things going out of their shoulder that bumps into the wall.
Yeah. Those kind of things I see that occasionally come through. And occasionally I'll see something I go, there's something about it, I don't want to even touch it. I just say, that's not for me. You go on.
I know that one too.
Yeah, right?
I know that one too.
People think it's funny when you say things have energy, but to me, I really, Yeah, right. That there's things
No doubt.
that do.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
and so you know, I love the fact that you have no hesitation going, yeah, I'm a picker. That's what I do. I'm proud of it, and I like that. I've heard dealers say, oh, you shouldn't say picker. You should say a scout or somebody who, but I never thought it as a derogatory term. No, right?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how we even came up with it. But it's in the 80s probably,
Mm.
sometime in the 80s. And my license plate since '87 says Pickin'.
Wow.
And people drive by me. They used to before the TV show came on. People drive by me and they'd be doing this, and
Right.
I just look back at them and do this.
Wrong kind of picking.
Like
Yeah, and that show American Pickers really has kind of changed the whole sensibility of, I guess, of the profession. But you kind of had some, you were in Iowa, right, when those guys were working too, right?
yeah. Well, I set up at a motorcycle meet in Davenport since '90, and that's where they're from. And it was before they started the TV show,
Right.
and we've always been friends and doing the same thing. So it's gone, but yeah, things have changed since the TV
When you
show.
watch a show like that, I'm sure you must have watched it. Do you feel like it really kind of is what happens, or is it
Um,
a little more sanitized?
well, it's changed some. I mean, it's become TV,
Mm.
and like those guys are pretty cool guys, and like we've been friends for a long time, and it's like things have just changed for them because they got to manage a whole. It's a big business.
Yeah, it's a
It's
real
a big
business, right?
business, and
It's less about finding the objects and than just the story, I think,
well,
really.
they're not finding it like you and I are having to find it. Like they have ads, more ads, and
Right.
they get more calls than all of us
Right.
together combined. Everybody wants to be on TV.
Yeah, and tell us about that because I mean, in your business and my business, we're only as good as what we found. And, you take it, you have to actually get a lot more into the trenches, knocking on doors and things, right?
Oh yeah, I mean like yeah, people don't call me. I used to put ads out, and I'm always talking to people. I get more calls. Used to get more calls. Now they have, American Pickers have ads in all the magazines and
Right.
stuff, and people call there. They get a chance to be on TV.
But I mean, you'll literally go up and if you're in an area and see like a cool old bike in somebody's yard in the backwoods of West Virginia, which is where you live, right?
Right, I would do that, but you don't see it.
Yeah,
You
you
don't
just don't see
find
the
it.
motorcycle anymore.
I mean, I've knocked on a lot of doors
Yeah,
for lots of stuff, advertising, signs, neon clocks, all kinds of stuff that I used to buy, just yard art. And
right.
yeah, it's a lot harder to do that these days.
So you can find David, I'll tell you right now. He's got a really cool website, davidwasserman.com. Go to it. He's got some great stuff. I did, and really actually it's really interesting and well run. His daughter, yeah, say it again.
D. Wasserman.
D Wasserman, dwasserman.com.
And you can also find me on Instagram, David Wasserman Antiques.
Yeah, and I
On
went to the
Instagram.
Instagram account too. It was really chill looking at all the different images
My
of your life.
cameraman takes care of all that.
Yeah, no, it's a really nice site, and um, and I love the eclectic mix of stuff that you have from signs to history to some Indian material to just I can tell when I look at that I can tell a lot about you, what pushes your buttons, what you like to see, and what excites you. And it's almost like a curated show when I look through there because I can see your eye in those objects. I didn't see one thing that I didn't go, that's pretty cool.
Well, what you see is my house.
Yeah.
I live with stuff and comes and goes, and yeah, that's how it is.
Now your early life is really interesting. You were just sharing a little bit about it. You left home at like 15 years old, right?
Yes.
What the hell's that like? I mean, I can't even imagine.
Hey, just like today, buying a expensive motorcycle
Right?
takes guts.
Yeah.
And
Right.
like I having a rough time at home, and I ran away when I was 13 for the first time, and I
Wow.
didn't stay gone too long that time, and but then I ran away for good when I was 15, and yeah, it takes guts to do that, but I was having a rough time at home, and I learned a lot living on the road.
Oh, I bet. And did you kind of just fall into antiques and buying and selling? How did that happen? I mean, you're
And
on
that
your own.
happened. I was probably 18, and where we were living back in the woods in West Virginia, they had a pick up the trash day.
Uh-huh.
The town was going to pick up anything that the garbage man wouldn't pick up, old appliances, furniture, oversized
Right,
stuff
right.
that the garbage wouldn't fit in your trash can. And I was driving through town one day, and I was like, wow, look at this stuff. And I filled up my truck with all kinds of good user stuff and went to this flea market that weekend or something
Yeah.
that was nearby and sold $800.
Oh my God.
And I was like, wow, this
And you
is
were
crazy.
and you were 18.
Yeah, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was hooked. And like in my time before that, I'd always been a picker, finding stuff here and there, and
Right.
hitchhiking in Oregon. You could pick up cans you could walk on the freeway and you could pick up cans for 5 cents a piece.
Right.
That was like, wow, okay.
Right. Yeah. No, I actually did that in college. I went and picked up cans and helped, with a little bit of extra money.
That's right. It was pretty easy. So.
And then you moved to West Virginia, so you were there by 18, and you lived with a group of other like-minded people at that time, or?
Yeah, it was back to the land movement.
Yeah.
People just wanted to live off the land and
right.
Be more with less.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
Not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah. And then I read a great magazine article and maybe New Age Journal or something like that, and the cover story was Right Livelihood. And it described the right livelihood as a career that you can feel all positive about what you're doing. You're not hurting anybody or polluting the world, and you can wake up every morning and scream, "Whoopee! I'm going to work." And
that's kind of the cool thing about our profession is we kind of set if we want, we can kind of, especially yours, you can set your schedule, your hours, and what you want to do.
Right.
I mean, that's part of the call of being a picker, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm on my own. I don't have any schedule. I don't have it's a gamble.
Right.
It's a gamble that, but it's been really great. And like, I'm not afraid. And I'm not afraid. And I got a great family.
Yeah, you do. I met them. They are great. And another book changed your life too, right? Larry Mcmurtry's Cadillac Jack.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, tell me about that. Because I found it really interesting but not surprising, that a book could really affect you so deeply at a young age that you go, wow, this is something I could see myself as.
Well, I was, as a picker, junk seller, whatever. I was out there at the flea market selling stuff, and I see these guys all the time coming over just buying.
Right.
Who are these guys? Who are these guys?
Yeah, I know.
Coming
right.
through here buying all the time. I never see them selling. Where do they get their money? What's this all about? And then reading that book, Cadillac Jack, which is about antique picker Cadillac Jack, who bought the Cadillac of his dreams after he discovered a Ming Dynasty vase
right.
at a junk store in Arkansas for $20-some, and it sells at Sotheby's for $100-some grand. And he buys a Cadillac of his dreams, a '59 Cadillac with ruby-eyed Rudy Valentino Cobra hubcaps.
Right.
And he's collecting up cowboy boots for some woman in Texas and truncheons for a guy in Baltimore. And I was just this awakening reading that book, like, wow, that's what these guys are doing. They had a card file. This is before cell phones even.
Yeah, way before, right?
Phones, maybe.
You were probably in your late 20s at this time.
Right. Yeah. And cell phones, like, hey, we go to you go find the public phone.
Right.
Set up at the ad show. There was one public phone there, and it was tough to get a spot in there. Everybody, all the dealers were in there on setup day calling all their customers.
Right.
Just wait in line to get to use the phone to make the sale.
Yeah, it made a big deal, right? I mean,
right.
I remember losing a great thing at Brimfield that somebody had found, and they called me and I said, "It sounds right. Can you somehow get a picture or FedEx it to me or something?" Because we didn't have cell phones. I mean, it would have been just click, boom, done.
Yeah.
But they didn't have it, and I lost it. And then another dealer found me maybe a day later. So I'd offered like $3,500 for the piece was $3,500 at the show that the dealer had found, and we were going to just buy it together, which it got lost because somebody bought it. They called and said, well, it's $25,000. And I was like, I said, any room to discount? Firm, which means they didn't want a discount. And I ended up buying it. I had to have it. It was a Great Dixon, and it was just something that I had to pay the money. It was a world record for that price of piece at that time. But you know, it's the world has completely changed in our profession, and I think that's one of the things that really, you know, it's great if you're on the internet. We're both on the internet, but what about how do you see your profession changing? I mean, it's no longer knock on the door and what do you got? I mean,
No,
are we as dealers or pickers? Is that a lost art? Is it gone?
it might be. I'm glad I'm not raising my kids still.
Yeah.
That it's not as easy as it was. Besides all the reproduction fake stuff that's been introduced in the times since we started doing it.
Right.
Uh, there's less interest. Like our kids don't care about it the same way uh,
Right.
our peers did
Right.
that we've been selling stuff to.
How about your kids specifically? Because they were raised in that environment of objects have importance. Do they have the same sensibility, or are they still kind of not?
They have sense enough not to throw it away.
Yeah.
And they live with old stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't.
It's different, isn't it?
They don't trade in it.
Yeah. And how about eBay? Is that affected, or Craigslist and those kind of things?
I was on eBay in the beginning, and I've hardly dealt with it. I mean, I did it a lot 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever.
Right.
Even up till 5 years ago, I haven't fooled with it at all.
Yeah.
I don't even look at it hardly.
And why is that? You think? You think it's the eBay, or you've just gotten your own
Well,
web
it's
and
too
things?
impersonal, and it's just too controlling.
This is a personal business,
Definitely.
you know.
I mean, we do a lot of our business on a handshake and the word of mouth.
It's true.
Okay, we shake hands on the phone.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That is very
it's
true.
Kind of on eBay.
Right.
I mean, there's people there that are just trying to be dishonest. That's
Yeah.
why they're on it.
No, it is. There are people that do try to do that, and I will say there are people in our business too that do things that are less than scrupulous. But we ferret them out pretty quickly,
Right.
and the word gets very quickly through our community saying, this guy wasn't honest or didn't pay or didn't, for instance, the piece I bought from you, we talked about it 2 months later. I said, yep, I'll take it. We shook hands. I'd never seen it. You bring it here. 2 months later, I go, cool, it looks great. Boom, you're happy, I'm happy.
Right.
And, I know if I wasn't happy, you'd go, that's cool, not a problem.
Hey, that's the rule. It's like guaranteed forever to be just what we say it is.
Yeah.
And like in my case, I take it back full trade any day.
Yeah.
Anything I sell, I'll take back full trade. And I've never had anybody take me up on that.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It's good stuff.
I mean, hey, yeah, good stuff stays good stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned too. Like, if you're buying good stuff, you never pay too much for it. You're just buying it a little too soon.
Now your real specialty is motorcycles, which has been really smart for you because
That's what I like.
yeah, a lot of things in our business have changed, like antique furniture. I don't know. I mean, there's just not a market like it used to be at all, unless it's modern, mid-century modern. Great. But tell me about that, because I don't deal in motorcycle stuff, and that's a whole different world. How's that work? That area, antiques, right, mainly?
Oh yeah, I like motorcycles older than me.
Yeah.
But, I buy panheads and earlier, 1965 and earlier.
Uh-huh.
And and I like original paint, first paint, original stuff.
And that makes a huge difference for
Sure.
value.
And everything.
Everything.
Like,
Yeah,
first
same
paint,
for mine, yeah.
Everything. First original finish
Right.
is what we like. Because underneath the new paint, who knows what's underneath that? How
Right.
much Bondo, as we call it, food, how much food's underneath the paint, mixing in with the metal that, and it's all shiny, restored,
Right.
shiny chrome. It's like,
So you'd rather sell a piece or even own a piece that chips and dinks and all that stuff, but it's
Yeah.
original. Yeah.
Right.
We're the same with like pottery. I'd rather have the nicks and the
Yeah. I mean, once it's had work done on it,
yeah.
did
It's like
that piece of pottery start out with
yeah.
a little shard?
Yeah, well, we always try. What we do, and I'm sure you must too, is we'll take pictures showing what it looked like.
Right.
Because some people don't want it with the problems.
Oh, yeah. But, like, yeah, how much stuff is made? you know, when you see a restored motorcycle,
Right.
you wonder what that guy start with. I mean,
Right.
I've been out there selling parts for years, and like you find a frame, and that's your start. You
Right.
put the frame on the table. Next thing you build an engine in there,
Right.
and then you need to find sheet metal. And
Right.
it's like many restored shiny show bikes are built with parts. It's
Yeah.
all put together, and I like regional stuff.
And so, which is more? I don't know if it's more fun or more lucrative or both. The parts themselves, or actually finding a bike.
Hey, more people are looking for parts than complete bikes.
That's because it's easier to find.
Well, they found a bike that was missing parts.
Yeah.
You know, it got customized
Right.
at some point of the day or wrecked or whatever. Right. And yeah, so people are always looking for parts to complete a project.
Right. And the earlier the piece, the better, I would assume.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so when does that whole motorcycle time frame start? Like, so what's the earliest motorcycle? Turn of the century, 1890s?
Yeah, well, the first American big manufacturer was Indian. You know,
Yeah.
1901, that's the name.
Right.
And there's a few others earlier than that.
And what's the prime time for the Indian motorcycles?
Well, they were from 01 to 53.
Yeah, but is there like the 20s or 30s that's a better time? Is there a certain time that's like, oh, these are the holy grails of the Indian motorcycles?
Well, 4 cylinders, maybe 4-cylinder Indians, which they made from 26 to 42.
Yeah.
So maybe not exactly, but
and everybody wants to.
Duesenberg, and so from 40 to 42, when they started, 1940, they started
Right.
making a skirted fender.
Yeah.
And 40 to 42, they call that the Duesenberg motorcycle. 4-cylinder.
And so when you find one of those, is your lights go? Yeah, right. I can see in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, you know the stuff. You can tell. I mean, once you know, you can see from across the room.
Right.
What year it is, or whatever, just by the tank badges.
Right.
Or what side the chain's on, or.
Right.
You know that
and do you
stuff.
do things where you have to, like in our world, we'll blacklight things like paintings and pots looking for repaint. And you guys do the same thing
Sure.
in the motorcycle world?
Even more detailed than that.
Yeah, really?
They have a depth gauge, measures the thickness of the paint, and they know the original thickness of the paint.
Wow.
Like your painter can't paint,
Right.
you know, the exact thickness all the way like when they did it at the factory
Right.
originally.
Right.
So that's how they.
So they have an instrument that you put on and it like a laser or something, and that measures depth of, which is like whatever,
Right.
1 millimeter or something.
Right. I mean, hey, like the black light will tell you the difference between, show you where it's been touched.
Right.
You know, but this is like.
So that is that standard in the business that you have to do that?
No, I mean.
It's only if you have a
yeah. You got the,
really expensive one.
Great bike.
Right, and you want to make sure everything.
That it's like, yeah, this is the best one there is, and there are some out there doing that.
Yeah. So what's like a great bike, really great motorcycle? What can those bring? I have no clue. I mean, it's totally out of my field.
It's Vincent that recently sold for close to $1 million.
Wow. And what makes that $1 million bike?
Well, I'm not the one that would want to know all the exact details, but it was a famous bike in a movie. It was a movie bike.
So provenance, as we say, yeah, history.
There's only a few of them known.
Yeah.
And it's a great bike. And
yeah.
Yeah. If I had a better memory, I'd tell you the exact act.
Yeah, but there was, in our world, in the art world, well, I don't care if it's motorcycles, pottery, or whatever. If you've got a killer provenance, there was a big show at Christie's auction for the John D. Rockefeller collection, or the Rockefeller collection, David Rockefeller actually, and pieces or things that were selling for triple, quadruple estimates because of they want a piece, not only the piece, but they want a piece of the history of that individual. And I understand that. I mean, there's things that I get that I go, oh wow, was such and such, and that means, I don't know if it should or shouldn't, but it does mean something to me, and I think it means a lot to collectors as well.
Yeah, stories help out.
They do. Yeah, real ones. Remember that, folks, real ones. Yeah, provenance can always be changed. You got to really have the real deal. It's true. I mean, at least in my world, I look especially I love that history, but I always look at the piece first, right? Same thing.
Yeah.
The eye,
You
right?
gotta have a high.
Yeah. People don't understand how important that is. And that's taken you 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
How do you think that's changed from when you started to now? How, because your eye's gotten better, right? I mean, it's proved.
Oh yeah.
What do you think has happened in that time frame? How has it changed?
Well, people got. There's more people. Well, maybe, I don't know. There's more fake stuff. I'm aware of more fake stuff than
Right.
I used to be, and I've probably always been there. I just know about it
Right.
now, and like I know that nothing's sacred.
Yeah.
Nothing is sacred. Whatever, whatever it is, we know the guy, or we can find the guy that does the restoration on it that you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, and so yeah, you want to buy with provenance.
Yeah. And so when you look at a piece, your first thought sometimes is now not, oh, this is great. It's okay, is this real?
Yeah, for sure, always,
Yeah.
always. You know, you see something that looks too good.
It is.
Very, very
Yeah.
possibly is.
Yeah.
You know, the first time you ever seen it, it's because never saw one because they just started making it.
Right.
That's my thing. Yeah.
And
saw it, but
I know I get like a gut reaction immediately on a piece. So you find that too. You just go, boop, there's something not kosher here.
right, and if they won't, it won't. If it's not guaranteed to be exactly
Right.
what they say it is. It's like no way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I think, people who are listening to this podcast should take to heart, that people, should be able to give you a guarantee. If they're not going to give you a guarantee of some type, then that's a red flag, that something may not
Right.
be right. Or if it's the old, too good to be true, it probably is. And I always call it the greed factor. If you get to, it's like, oh, look how great this is. Like, this is worth so much,
The hotshot collector that thinks he knows more than the kicker.
Yeah, right.
You know, that,
Or dealer. I mean, I'm sure you've had
Right.
dealers who think they know more than you, and you bring them something great and they're like, oh no, right?
Yeah.
Have you found, that's another thing that I wondered about. When you bring, because you bring a lot of stuff to dealers, right?
Not a lot. I mean,
Not, at one point you
I
did.
mean, I have in my time for sure.
Yeah. And
I mean,
did you ever, yeah, okay.
I've been spanked.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about that. What do you mean when you've been spanked?
Well, hey, I remember I was in New York City and went to a major quilt store with a stack of quilts, and I
Right.
said, I went in there and I got the buzzer to get let in the door,
Right.
and I said, hey, I'm here from West Virginia. I've got a great load of quilts, and the dealer tells me, I've never seen a good quilt that came from West Virginia. I was like, oh, really? Set me back in my chair, like,
So he was just an egotistical guy.
well, he was just looking for the Baltimore album
Uh,
quilts, just the top stuff, whereas
Got
West
it.
Virginia quilts kept people warm, and a lot of them were made out of flour sacks, just different mixed up color materials.
Right.
It wasn't like a red, white, and blue quilt, or
Right.
it was just kept you warm.
Yeah. So his vision of what was a great quilt was not anywhere on your same level.
Sure.
So what did you think about that when he did that? It's kind of a,
Well, I learned it's just a great lesson. I
Yeah.
went in this shop, and it's like top quilt shop in New York City, and the books and the quilts were folded on a shelf as neat as encyclopedia. A set
Right.
of encyclopedias, just perfect.
right.
Perfect. Like,
For those of you at home, an encyclopedia is how we used to get information before we had Wikipedia.
encyclopedia.
Yeah. So that was a great learning, even though it was kind of a painful one. It sounds like that was you realize there's a different world out there. And so did that affect you? Did you look for
well,
different
it's
kind of
just-
quilts at that point?
Well, I've changed a lot in that, because nowadays all the quilts come from China, and so many quilts come from China, and I don't want to. If I found a great quilt,
Yeah.
I'd buy it, but like, it's got to be a great one.
Yeah.
That there's
Some
not enough
folk
interest
art
in
or
it.
something that's,
Yeah,
or
just,
history again.
Hey, to me, there's a lot of stuff that I don't buy anymore because it's been copied.
Like
And,
what? What would you say?
Well, say like that, the quilts.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be out there with a stack of quilts selling to people that are buying $20
Right.
handmade Chinese quilts.
Right.
That I don't want to compete with that. It's too hard.
Yeah.
I'd rather buy something that somebody would say, "Wow, I never saw one of these before."
Right. Right.
That's what I like. Fooling with stuff you never saw.
The cool stuff.
Like one of a kind.
Yeah. And the things you look at and go, I'm not sure what this is, but it's really cool.
Right. I like that as long as I know it's old.
Yeah, that's the key. So tell people, I know how I look at it, but how do you, when you look at an object, what tells you it's old? What is it that says, oh, this is really old? This isn't just something.
Oh, it could be nice. It could be, patina.
Yeah.
Patina is
so the covering and the grit and the grind that's on
where it came from.
Yeah, history.
Where I'm at.
Yeah, where you're finding it.
Yeah.
If it's a little old lady that's handed down 3 generations, and you know that's the fact.
I mean, there's places you go where that's all they got is fake stuff.
Yeah.
Or it's mixed in, and
you see a lot of that at kind of outdoor malls, outdoor antique fairs now, right? I mean, it used to be, Brimfield used to be, for those who don't know, Brimfield is a great auction or antiques show that's in Massachusetts, right? I've only been once, but it was great.
Yeah, it's like 50 years or more happening. There's thousands of dealers there.
Yeah.
3 times a year.
But that's changed too, dramatically, right?
Yeah, because when I first got into this in the early 80s, depression glass, reproduction depression glass was all over the place where I lived at the auction. I'd hold it up. Who else wants a deal? It's
right.
Like,
this is West Virginia.
Yeah, it's West Virginia, but like, hey, that was 50 years or 35 years ago.
Right.
Stuff's everywhere now, and like, how do you know the difference between the new and the old unless you were buying the old back then? And
right.
It's just.
And so that's caused the values probably to just be very minimal.
I don't think anybody collects it for what it was.
Yeah.
It's not like. How do you tell? People don't know.
You don't. Yeah.
So many toys. The toy market has changed a lot because of all the production toys, and
and they also restore them greatly too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one I've had a few in my career, but again, it's usually I'm looking at a collection of Western material or paintings or Indian material, and they've got some toys that I know they've been in the same family for 3 generations, and you can look at it and you can see chipped paint and bent things, and you go, oh yeah, this is real. Yep. Doesn't mean I know the value, but I can at least turn them on to somebody or figure out a way to try to tell them, hey, that has value. I mean, sometimes I think that's what we do in this business is we sometimes say, well, I don't know for sure what this is, but I can tell you what it isn't. Or I can tell this is old. I know it's old, but I don't know value or what it is. Right. And I'm sure you must, because you're a variety. You're way more variety than me. There's probably not much field that you wouldn't try to.
Well, that's not true.
No?
No, there's a.
What would you stay away from? What don't you feel comfortable after 40 years?
I don't know anything about coins.
I
don't know much at all about jewelry. Rarely do I buy jewelry.
Yeah.
And that's something I wish I did know. I like seeing those guys walk in the show, they're carrying a briefcase.
Right.
And like they're set up and gone before everybody else.
And it weighs 2 pounds.
Yeah, pretty cool. But I don't know jewelry. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. It's a big world.
Yeah.
I'm still a beginner.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's a really important thing, I think, for people to understand.
Always.
You're 40 years into this, right? You've spent your entire life dedicated to it, and your statement is you're still a beginner. And I get that. And I also get the fact you don't buy stuff you don't understand, because you will get spanked every time.
Yeah. And I take a chance. I take a chance at some stuff, or go back. I'll go back and find out.
Right.
Yeah, I've been spanked good sometimes. So
yeah.
I won't do it again.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? You learn once, and then if you get really burned, you go, okay, I learned my lesson on that. Yeah. And we all have those. I'm sure you still, that still happens, right?
That's how it works.
Right.
I'm looking.
Yeah. And so when you come like in a new area, so you're in Tucson, you live in West Virginia, will you go out and hit the antique stores while you're here and that kind of stuff?
sometimes.
Yeah, it's the call's still there, right?
The call's still there, but the stuff is not there.
That's the problem, right?
So much of it is just
Reproductions,
reproduction.
not old.
They got it on the internet. They got it on the internet at the same time.
Right.
The stuff, the place to find it
Mm-hmm.
is where they just laid it out that day. You know, they unloaded their car at the swap meet.
Right.
And it's like fresh, at least on that spot for
Right.
the day. It doesn't say they didn't have it stored in their
right.
crap that they're selling every week.
Right.
But I don't know. But the estate sales, that's where it's I
Right.
to go to. Like to go to the big, like the guy that's been a collector. Like I think the last motorcycle sale. It was a great one. You know, the guy was an ironmonger in
Right.
Chicago, and like had a 5-acre patch fenced in downtown Chicago. You know, with like,
filled with motorcycle stuff.
I mean, it was 30 some cars, each car packed full of stuff.
Wow.
And,
did you go to it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like everybody, it was the most amazing sale.
Yeah.
Leroy Hartone.
Wow.
And the guy was the ironmonger of Chicago.
Yeah.
And, like there was so much great stuff there. And like that's where you find it.
Yeah. Even though there's a lot of competition, people are there.
Right.
But there's so much that everybody can't buy everything.
And it's like, it's that attitude of like, you can't pay too much.
Right.
You know, it's like, hey, it's great stuff. Never had a chance to buy. Never even saw one of those
Right.
before. Like, what's it worth?
Yeah.
You know, how much you got?
Yeah.
Know, like we're buying it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an important thing that people often, and collectors often don't do, is they're afraid to step up to that next level. They're afraid, you know, and if you got somebody like yourself or me who is an expert or has knowledge in a field, will say, yeah, you should, because this is really great. We stepped up because it's good. So you can't, I don't think you can be afraid to step up, just like you weren't afraid in this instance. You knew, because you knew the rarity and you knew it's not going to come back around. And that,
I do that all the time. Like, hey, I spend all my money. You know, I don't have, I mean, I can get more money, whatever.
right.
I'll find it, I'll do something. But like, if there's something cool out there, I'm not afraid to buy it.
You want the objects more than the money, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, money's just stuff. Money's just a tool
to get more objects.
Yeah, I don't have any money. I got objects that are just always floating.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
Yeah. I think that's a genetic thing. I mean, I think all of us in this business that really love handling material, and it's probably for you, at least for me, it's almost more fun in the finding it than the selling it.
Oh yeah, fun's in the search. That's what I said. But at the same time, we make a lot of people happy.
It's true.
We make a lot of people happy. You know?
On both ends, buying and selling.
Yeah. I mean, for as many people that are like, give you a hard time because it's more money than they think it could be or should be, they just, you know, they're naive. They don't know that the people that are their customers, they're very happy.
Well, and I think there's a service that we provide that people don't realize, that when these objects come on, and often it's because of death, divorce, or taxes, some reason they have to sell, they need somebody to be able to purchase that. And it's nice if they actually have a face, a name, a person, versus putting it up on Craigslist and it's just about money and nothing else. Nobody shows up to say hi. Nobody shows up to talk about what it meant to them. You know, nobody cares about the history. History's just gone. You know, it's like, oh, great grandma, doesn't matter. You know, I'm more interested in how much I can make. And I hate that. I think it's so important to keep that information if you can. And so I think it's a responsibility to some extent.
Definitely.
You know, otherwise it's gone forever, you know, into the ecosphere of internet. So what else? Is there anything else you really want to share with me? Something that I would find really interesting? I mean, it's all interesting, but just your life is so unique. You realize that, right? You have a really unique, cool life.
I've heard that.
That's true.
I've been hearing that.
Yeah.
And I could write. If I was a writer or something, it'd be pretty cool. My daughter would do it someday.
Yeah, you should write it down. You know, I think the kind of things that have come across your hands, the places you've been, you know, you've been doing this you're actually in a profession, I think, I don't know if it's going to be around in 15 years.
Probably.
I hope
I don't know. There'll still be people farting around.
There will be, but you know, I guess maybe it'll just be different. Maybe there'll be world-class internet search individuals that know how to really find the material that way. But I don't know if it's the same as walking into a musty antique, but somebody's antique attic and going, what's that in the corner? What's that thing that's got all the spider web? Oh, that's Aunt Tulsa's.
Things are so different today. Like kids, they don't want to collect this stuff, care about having this stuff,
Yeah,
holding it, touching it. There's something I learned about kids driving. A lot of kids that are like 17 and 18 years old, they don't have a driver's license. Like, I know where you were in your 16th birthday, right?
15 actually for
15,
us.
okay.
New Mexico was 15.
All right, but hey, you were
driving
at the driver's.
I was at the DMV.
We all were at the DMV because that was your freedom.
Right.
That was you. Man, you got behind the wheel and it's like,
right.
See you later.
Right.
Hey, kids these days, they've got their freedom in their single digits when they first held onto a cell phone. They've seen stuff.
They remember
that.
That
still haven't seen.
Right. And they remember when they got it.
You're damn right. I'm just saying they've been places. They don't need a driver's license.
Yeah.
They can go. They can stay in their bedroom and go places that we still don't get to.
Well, in 15 years, will anybody even get a driver's license? It'll all be. Not to say this is bad. This is the way things are. But you're right. Things change. Now, I do have one other question. Tell me about the hat. It's a cool hat.
Oh, yeah. I just wore it for a long time.
And so is it an old Harley Davis hat?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, it's Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
Pull that card out of there.
The one that says lost head. Oh, $100 reward, lost head. So if you lose it, you want it back.
I want it back.
It's just got its card.
Hey, a day like today, I leave home wearing my hat, and then it gets too hot to wear it, and I sit in a restaurant and take my hat off.
Yeah, that's such a cool thing. Yeah. You love it when you have your card in that says, I will buy this object back for $100 if I lose it or forget it. I kind of doubt you'll lose it or forget it.
I've lost a few of them, believe me.
Have you?
Yeah.
Did anybody ever call you back?
Yes. In fact, I made a good friend. I was riding a 49 Panhead, and I just mounted a saddlebag on the side of it.
Right.
And later on in the day, I was riding it, and I stopped. I pulled over at a place, and as soon as I pull over, my phone rings. Oh, and I looked down, and my saddlebag was gone on the bike.
Oh, God.
I was like a rear saddlebag,
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell I done. But my phone rings. It's like, hey, Dave, how you doing? I'm like, not too good. I just looked down at my saddlebag. And this guy's like, I'm sitting here on the side of the road, and I'm holding your saddlebag with your hat in there with that card.
I'll be down.
He called me, and the guy drove right to where I was, and I said, hey, he was with his son, his wife. They just moved there, and they were up looking for a place to go where they could be able to go hunting. And I said, hey, you want to make $100 or you want to make a new friend? And he's like, hey, I want to make a new friend. And I said, well, throw that saddlebag in the back of your car and follow me. I followed him home, and we live on 4 acres in the woods, and he's a bow hunter. I said, you can deer hunt right here with your bow.
Yeah.
And we become really good friends. And he's born the same day as me.
Wow.
And, pretty neat.
And that's because of an object.
Yeah.
Objects have binding. They have binding. And because you walked into my gallery, we're friends now too. And I really appreciate you coming and sharing some of this. To me, it's, I think it's really important for the world to know the Dave Wassermans and see. I think it's really important. You make a difference in the world in a positive way. So, so thank you very much. And everybody go visit his website. It's very cool. It's dwasserman.com. You'll see he's got great stuff. And who knows what he's going to find next. I hope he brings it to me first, though. Thanks.
Come see me. The good stuff's not on the web.
Yeah. All right. That's a deal. We'll do.